Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're gonna take a look at the battles that got me all the way up to 11th in the world in Go Battle League with Empoleon, Shadow Dragonite and Altaria. Empoleon has just been an incredible core breaker for me recently, with it being so good against Stunfisk, Bastiodon, Alola, Ninetales and a lot of other things, and it creates a perfect core with these dragon types where you can use Dragonite to lure out that dragon counter, take it out with Empoleon, and then sweep with Altaria in the back. Also, if you set Empoleon up with some energy, it's just going to be able to do so much damage to pretty much everything, as I'm going to show you some examples of. Going into the first game, we lead into Sableye, and against the Sableye, I like to swap out immediately to see if they have a dragon counter, which they do, and it's a Bastiodon. And how you want to play against the Bastiodon is you go for the superpower, but it's not enough to take out, so you want to leave the Bastiodon with as much health as possible, but without allowing it to get to 2 flamethrowers on Empoleon. So about 50%, maybe a little bit less. You saw how much I undercharged. Pretty much a nice on the superpower, and then you can just farm the Bastiodon all the way down, only taking 1 flamethrower, and we just about are able to do that. Now Empoleon has a lot of energy, and it can just hit everything with this energy. If they have a Medicham in the back, we go for a Drill Peck. And they actually shield this. Now we swap into Altaria, because these counters are going to do a lot. And we still have a lot of energy on Empoleon. This is what we want to shield if it's an Ice Punch. But against Bastiodon users, they just love running Pop. I don't know what it is, but whenever I see someone run Bastiodon, I just assume they have Pop on their Medicham. At this point, I don't want to take a boosted Ice Punch, just in case they have Pop Ice Punch, so I do decide to shield. And then I make a bit of a misplay by CMPing them here. I was trying to throw one turn before, but I don't know, must have just pressed it at the wrong time. But it was only a pop, so we can let it go. Then go for the Sky Attack, take out the Medicham, and now they bring in the Sableye. We still have a lot of energy. Go for another CMP, pretty silly by me. This was the first game, so have to shield up the foul play, but now we should be able to outpace the 2 Sky Attacks. Get the first one off, grab the shield, and get to the second one. This should be enough to take out the Sableye. And that is a good game. GG. Next game we lead into a Deoxys. Pretty yikes. Gotta swap into Dragonite immediately. They stay in. They go for a move after 5. It's a Psycho Boost. We can live this. Dragonite doesn't like it, but I do decide to let it go, and then they bring in an Umbreon. We go up to right before they get to a move. Then go for the superpower. This will hurt a lot if they let it go. But they decide to shield it. And they decide to throw energy, which is fine by me. They had to throw their move, otherwise they would have had to take another superpower. Bring in Empoleon. And because they're running Dark Pulse, it takes 4 Snarls for each of them. So we can overfarm a bit more. I could have CMP tied them right here, but Hydro Cannon only does about 29%, so it wouldn't have KO'd anyway, so I'd have to take this move regardless. So instead I decide to overfarm to 99 energy, and then throw the Hydro Cannon, take out the Umbreon. Now we have a lot of energy on Empoleon. They bring in the Deoxys again, go for a Hydro Cannon. And I assume we're gonna swap out here. Indeed. Bring in the Altaria. And they stay in and throw a move. This is like Deoxys doesn't really hurt that much, the move from Deoxys. And then they bring in a Charizard. But that Psycho Boost, actually, very nice play by my opponent, because it brings me into a range where they can wing attack me into Dragon Claw range. So they only have to throw 1 move on my Altaria from Dragon or from Charizard. They overfarm a lot. And if I shield this, they're just going to throw another one. And I'm thinking that my Empoleon can waterfall them down so quickly that they're only going to get to 1 move here. Or at least that's what I'm hoping. Can we get it down? We can. Can we get to the Hydro Cannon on Deoxys? Yes, we can. Very close game. But they should obviously be enough to take out Deoxys. And that's another GG. Next game we lead into a Shadow Alola Ninetales. Very good lead. And they're staying in. As I say, Empoleon is such a good core breaker. I go for the Hydro Cannon after 7. I could have thrown 1 more and CMP tied them on the Psyshock. But they do decide to shield it. And I know it takes 12 charms for 2 weather balls. They're not going to be able to get to 2 moves. So I should be able to shield this and then just farm them all the way down, which is what I go for. And now, obviously, they have something weak to Empoleon in the back. Otherwise, they wouldn't stay in with the Alolan Ninetales. So I decided to swap out immediately. And they bring in a Gliscor, which really does not like Empoleon. So makes sense. I decide to shield this. I know I'm going to get outpaced, but the Dragon Breath from Dragonite do a lot more damage than the Dragon Breath from Altaria, so I'm thinking that if I shield it, I can Dragon Breath them into a range where I can then Dragon Breath them down with Altaria afterwards, and then come out with a lot of energy. Yeah, they realize they're not going to get to another move, so they concede the game. Next game we lead into a Trevenant. Yikes. Have to swap out immediately. And at this point I go for a Dragon Claw because it just does so much damage. Either they have to give up a shield, or that Trevenant is gonna be brought into a range where my Empoleon can definitely deal with it afterwards. People just love to bait Dragonite because they assume I'm gonna shield everything, because Dragonite is so frail, which is why I like to let the first move go, and it was only a Seed Bomb. And at this point they bring in Lantern. I realize they're gonna try and farm me down, so I want to throw the superpower as quickly as possible to give them as little farm as possible by debuffing myself as soon as possible. I'm thinking there's no way the Lantern is gonna bait me, which is why I put up the shield. But it does bait me. Very unfortunate. I don't want to go down. I don't want to use both of my shields, so I let this Thunderbolt go. Nice bait by my opponent, I guess. What do they have in the back? I assume they're not gonna bring in the Trevenant. They have a Stunfisk. Very, very nice read by my opponent. I thought all the way through, they're not bringing in a counter to my Dragonite. They must not have a Dragon counter, which is why I thought Altaria was going to win me this game. But they were just recognizing that when they see an Empoleon and a Dragonite, it's probably another Dragon type in the back. So very nice recognition by my opponent, and we lose that game because of it. Next game we lead into a Lantern. Yikes. Good. Bring in the Dragonite, and again I go for a move thinking that it's gonna bring the Lantern low enough that my Empoleon can deal with it later. That might be a bit optimistic. But again, I no shield it, thinking people just love to bait Dragonite, and they do bait with the Surf. Then they go up to another one, and at this point I decide to shield it, because it looks like they're not very good against Dragonite. And then they bring in a Sableye. Get to a Dragon Claw, but it looks like the Sableye is going to be able to just farm me all the way down, which is not nice. But I've been seeing quite a few Lantern double ghost team, so I'm expecting it might be a Trevenant in the back, which is why I'm bringing in Empoleon here, thinking that my Altaria might just be able to sweep this game for me, and I want to tank the energy here from Sableye. I go for the Hydro Cannon immediately, because otherwise the Sableye would have been able to get to another foul play, and then I just have to swap out regardless of what comes in. Trevenant has no incentive to bait here, because it's not going to get to a Seed Bomb and 2 Shadow Balls before I get to 2 Sky Attacks, and it is going to get to 2 Shadow Balls. So there's no reason to bait, which is why I go for the shield. The Shadow Ball is definitely what's going to hurt the most on Altaria. And the Lantern is so low that this is going to come down to fast moves. There's no reason for me to overfarm here. I just have to keep my Altaria as healthy as possible, whilst also making sure I throw in the middle of the Shadow Claw so the Lantern can't catch this Sky Attack. And now, can we farm the Lantern down? Yes, we can. Very close. It would have been very, very unfortunate if they had come out with a move there on my Empoleon. Next game, we lead into a Shadow Alolan Ninetales, and they swap into Swampert. And I bring in Altaria. Dragonite can only live 1 Hydro Cannon, and it has to throw energy at Swampert to take it out. Whereas Altaria can live 3 Hydro Cannons, and as you're gonna see, is able to farm Shadow Swampert all the way down without spending a shield. So they go for the second Hydro Cannon, and they get to the third one, but this is just not enough to take out Altaria. So we just farm the Swampert all the way down, and I'm thinking I do have 2 Sky Attacks, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to live 1 fast move. So I want to get off as much damage as possible, which is why I go for the Wound Blast, thinking that 1 fast move is going to take me out. And that is the case. And then I bring in Empoleon, they bring in Lantern, and this is very dodgy, because if they land a Thunderbolt, the game is just over. My Dragonite they're going to be able to farm my Dragonite down afterwards, and my Empoleon can't do anything. But if they land 2 baits, it's also quite like uncomfortable. But I'm thinking that even if they go for 2 baits and I shield both of them, I'm gonna be able to Dragon Breath them so far into the red that my Empoleon might be able to deal with them afterwards. But now, because I got the second shield, even if they go for the Thunderbolt here, my Empoleon upper shield should be able to handle the Lantern as well, which is why I decided to no shield at that point. And we actually do get to the Dragon Claw, so no worries. Now we can bring in Empoleon, and there's nothing alone and Ninetales can do. Get to the Hydro Cannon, and this takes them out. Very nice game. Next game, lead into a Noctowl. Very good lead as well. They bring in Sableye. I like to bring in Dragonite onto Sableye, save swaps, because Sableye can flip switch against Altaria if it lands 2 baits. Whereas Dragonite's Dragon Breath just do so much damage that Sableye simply cannot flip switch here if you spend 2 shield. I go for the Dragon Claw because I don't want to spend 2 shields without taking at least 1 from them. But you do have to go down a shield in this matchup. Take out the Sableye, and I'm thinking I might be able to get to 2 Dragon Claws on Noctowl, which is why I decided to go for the Dragon Claw here. Otherwise I should have gone for the superpower immediately to debuff myself. Can I get to another one? No, cannot. And now the Noctowl comes out with a lot of energy. And I'm thinking there's no way it's going to stay in. It throws all of its energy here. So it's just going to swap out immediately, which is why I also swap out immediately, I was thinking all along it's probably a water type, like a Lantern or a Swampert in the back. You see that a lot with Noctowl. But it's actually a Jellicent. And Jellicent and Altaria get to their moves at the exact same time, as in they get to a Shadow Ball and Sky Attack at the exact same time, and Jellicent wins CMP. So if they go for the Shadow Ball, they will be able to take out my Altaria, but they don't. They make a misplay. They go for the Surf instead, which means we're going to be able to get to the Sky Attack. But I don't want to take out the Jellicent and leave my Altaria in farm range for Noctowl, so I decide to undercharge it, and then wait for my switch timer to come up before taking them out. And now, can we outpace the Noctowl? Yes, we can. We get to the move on CMP on Noctowl. Very, very nice. Very close game. GG. Next game. Lead into an Obstagoon. Yikes. Have to swap out immediately against any counter user, really. And they swap in an Alolan Ninetales. But they were a bit slow, so we do get to a superpower here. And I decided to undercharge it once again because I want farm on my Empoleon. I should have probably undercharged it even more, because they're still going to be able to get to a Side Shock here. And I'm not going to get that much energy on my Empoleon. Like, I could have gotten more energy here if I'd undercharged the superpower more. But this is still a pretty decent situation. We did lure out the Charmer, so Altaria might have played in the back. Go for the Hydro Cannon and Obstagoon. But my switch time is not up yet. I should have waited a turn here instead of throwing the Waterfall so I could swap in my Altaria quicker. But they go for a move. Obstagoon just doesn't hit very hard, so I don't think this is what I want to shield. And then they bring in a Tentacruel. If they don't have Acid Spray, I'm going to win this game because I'm going to outpace them. But they throw off the 7. They do have Acid Spray. And there's just no way I'm going to live enough Poison Jabs to get to 3 Sky Attacks here. So that's just game over. GG. Next game, lead into Altaria. The way I like to play this is usually, most of the time, there's not a dragon counter behind Altaria. And if there is, it's a Registeel, which Dragonite can handle. So I like to just stay in, go up to 2 Drill Pecks. If they shield the first one, I'm gonna swap into Dragonite. If they no shield it, I throw the second one, and then they're so low that they're gonna have to throw an energy into my Empoleon to take me out. Then I can farm them down with Dragonite. But because they shield, I can swap in my own Dragonite. And I should only have to shield once, even if they stay in. And then I should be able to farm them all the way down here. And I save the energy on Empoleon as well. And we just about are able to take them out. Bring in a Deoxys. Go for the first Dragon Claw. Can we get to another one? Yes, we can. Very nice. But the Deoxys is going to be able to farm down here and come out with a bit of energy. And then they make a very good play. Very nice play by my opponent to come in and Bullet Seed farm me down with Ferrothorn. I'm thinking that no matter if it has Thunder or Flash Cannon, this is the move that's gonna hurt the most on Altaria, and Altaria is my win con, so I shield it. But they're running Mirror Shot, of all things, which is just like there's no way they're gonna win this. Like Mirror Shot does nothing to Altaria. Altaria can just sweep this game, so the game is already won. But there's just it's not fun to just win like this. So instead, I decided to go for a CMP sack, just for no real reason really. Get off the drill peck, and we caught the Mirror Shot on Empoleon, which is double resisted. Very nice. They bring in Deoxys, farm down Empoleon, but it just doesn't do enough damage, Deoxys, to Altaria. And Ferrothorn just can't do anything, because it has Mirror Shot and Power Whip. I really would not recommend running Mirror Shot and Ferrothorn, because it's just such a bad move. Next game, we lead into a Registeel. Kinda have to stay in here. Dragonite is okay against Registeel. It's also okay against Stunfisk if you have energy. So it's not like all doom and gloom if you see them in the back. You just have to play it a bit tricky. Put up the shield. Registeel would obviously one-shot Empoleon. Empoleon is not the most bulky Pokemon in the world, but you do get 2 Hydro Cannons at the exact same time as Registeel gets to Focus Blast, and you do win CMP, so you will be able to get off your moves before Registeel does. I'm thinking, I think I'm up against Pokemichi here, and I think he kind of likes Alolan Ninetales, from what I remember. I've played him quite a lot recently, so I want to keep my Empoleon alive and save it for a potential Charmer or like Ice type in the back. And they bring in Trevenant, and now they have Alolan Ninetales, and we load it out with Dragonite. Now we can get Empoleon onto it. I don't wait out my switch timer, which is a pretty big mistake, because now after I take out this Alolan Ninetales, Trevenant is going to be able to farm me down because my switch timer is not up. Not that it would have come up, but I want to leave my Empoleon with as little HP as possible here, whilst also not allowing the Alolan Ninetales to get through to my Altaria. I feel like that was pretty successful. The Trevenant only gets 1 Shadow Claw's worth of energy, meaning we're just going to be able to outpace to a Sky Attack before it gets to 2 Shadow Claws. They get to the first Shadow Ball and get to a Sky Attack, and this should obviously take out the Grass type Trevenant. Very nice. Next game, lead into another Lantern. Yikes. Have to save swap immediately. Once again, go for the Dragon Claw immediately. Also, throwing the Dragon Claw makes it more comfortable for me to no-shield their move, because even if they Thunderbolt me, I've already expended my energy, whereas if they Thunderbolt me and take me out with all that energy, that would not be nice. They actually go for the Thunderbolt. Most people bait my Dragonite, which is why I no-shield it, as I explained earlier. But this person does take out Dragonite. And once again, I'm thinking, a Thunderbolt doesn't do that much. They're just not very incentivized to bait me here. But they do. And I shield another Surf. Oh, so goddamn annoying. And the worst thing is they didn't even have to bait, because they would have gotten to 2 Thunderbolts anyways. But whatever. We take out the Lantern. They bring in a Sableye. Get to the first Sky Attack. Maybe I should have gone for the Moonblast, thinking they're not going to shield, but 2 Sky Attacks is enough with the Dragon Breath damage to take out Sableye as well. Go up to right before they get to the next move. We have a little bit of lag, but we do get off the Sky Attack. Now what is in the back? Is it that Lantern double Ghost Team again? It is. It's the Trevenant. And we get to the Sky Attack before they get to a move, but Trevenant got off 5 Shadow Claws, so it's 7 Shadow Claws away from Shadow Ball plus Seed Bomb, meaning it will outpace my Empoleon. I have to make a call here. If they bait me, I lose. If they throw the Shadow Ball, I lose. I call the Seed Bomb, and that wins me the game. We would have CMP'd on the Shadow Ball if I shielded that Seed Bomb, and then I would have lost the game because Trevenant wins CMP against Empoleon. Next game, lead into an Altaria. They save swap Registeel. I kind of have to stay in here. Throw the Hydro Cannon. And I'm just kind of making a call here that they don't have a Dragon counter in the back. As I say, most Altarias don't have one. So I bring in my Dragonite to go for a really, really huge farm down on the Registeel after just letting my Empoleon go. I have to shield this once, and of course I do get the attack debuff, which is quite unfortunate. but Dragonite can still just output so much damage, even if it's debuffed. So now we have a lot of energy on Dragonite, and they bring back in the Altaria. Go for the first Dragon Claw. They let it go. Farm up a little bit more. Go for a second one. This one they shield. Can we get to a third one as well? Yes, we can. Either they have to give me the last shield, or they have to let their Altaria go. They let their Altaria go, and it's a Trevenant in the back. And once again, Trevenant is not going to get to a Seed Bomb and 2 Shadow Balls. There is no incentive for them to bait. No incentive for me to no-shield this. They will get to a Shadow Ball, but it shouldn't take out Altaria. I think there is a breakpoint that Trevenant can get, if I remember correctly, where it might be able to win against Altaria in the one shield, but I don't think most Trevenants have that breakpoint, and it doesn't look like this Trevenant is getting that breakpoint. Also, my Altaria has very good defense, as you can see on the left. So we do get to the Sky Attack, and we do take out the Trevenant. Very nice game. Next game, I think this is the last game. We lead into another Sableye. Once again, I like to save up my Dragonite. They stay in. Go for a move. This one has to be shielded. No way Dragonite can live it. And then they swap in a Tentacruel, of all things. Go for a Dragon Claw. We should be able to get to another one. They shield the first one. I should have undercharged this Dragon Claw and left the Tentacruel with a lot more HP, because Tentacruel can't do anything against the Empoleon. Like, it's completely walled. So if I left the Tentacruel like a lot more HP, I would have gotten a lot bigger of a farm on my Empoleon, and it just doesn't do a lot of damage, this Tentacruel. And it still gets to a Scald after landing the Acid Spray. So this was, pretty perfect for the opponent, really. We do take it out, come out with a Hydro Cannon. They come up with Sableye again, go for the Hydro Cannon. They have to shield this if they want to stay alive. Now we can bring in the Altaria. And they save their Charm on the back. Another opponent who just completely read my team. It is the downturn with this team. It is pretty easy to read what's in the back once you see Empoleon and Dragonite. But a Moonblast does a lot of damage to the ELO Ninetales. We take the ELO Ninetales out with Empoleon. Can we actually get to a Hydro Cannon here? No, we cannot. Unfortunately, that's a loss. But still, even with that loss, we still managed to get all the way up to 3425 ELO, my highest for this season, and number 11 in the world. That was the last battle for today, and I think overall this is one of those teams where if you run it at the right time, it's just going to be incredible for you, which is the case for me yesterday when I ran it. I have also had success with it before, and a lot of my friends have also had success with it before. But if you run it at the wrong time, it's still never going to be like really bad, unless you're only running into double charm, double steal. Obviously against those teams you don't stand a chance. So it's always going to be like at least decent, I feel like. Fun fact of the day, a very attack weighted Trevenant, as in like a 15, 10, 11 type attack weighted Trevenant beats Altaria in the one shield scenario. And it actually doesn't drop that many matchups, only the 2 shields. You might want to be aware of some things. It might actually be worth looking into if you want to beat this Altaria. Other than that, if you like what you see or feel like you learned something, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.